Dambe Dunga Ge Dan Trava Kazi Dunga Mebe Deva Damba Damandra Kazi Nina Chodan Yidan Tanya Chimbo Lane Panja Senjo Ranger Lane Mandara Dana Jeno Janda Dangano Wajim Basinza Sawan Ibn Kayan Danga Bajiras Rabdi Gir Banzama Kayamba Deda Danja Tava Tamiko Yetibi Sonya Nanda Hia Adan Lama Madame Jeon Adan Jajana Soji Jinjola Java Jivana Sanja Soma Rabde Shan Divi Jiva and the Shageta Majunition and the Hia Divi Jasan the Renchen Sabi de Java, Donja Sheva, Dedan Joda Zanagua, and the Vena Vina Shanta Jose Human Bay on the Gata TV Sonia. Don't be shining joint Chimena on the Zonki, some of the age on the similar Georgia conscience and Shangon, the Sudan, Mobile, and Conservative in bed in the summer. Gentlemen, Sanjin on Sonta, two along there of the number, Shavi. I got on the Don of Janka, Dodame, Canon, Rock, and the cases of Tamche got the dog, Chudan. Oh, yeah, there. As a young Kenzombala, Gosh,
it is happy that we see each other again here.
Tatani Nasu Kasa Tsame Chongwa. Tene Tsame Ngu. Tene Tsame Yewa. Tsame Yewa Ganani. Tene Gansa Tsama. Dalon Tsama Ye Ndore. Da Shiva Tsama Sedel Tur.
Last session we talked about definition of valid cognitions, and also we talked about history of valid cognitions or Buddhist epistemology. Also we talked about how developed the history of Buddhist epistemology. And then we also talked about three types of valid cognitions. First, valid persons and valid cognitions. And within the valid cognitions, there are the direct perception cognitions and inferential cognitions.
Oh, yeah. The Shiva Tsama Sede Chirkarsa Malo Vachila Tsama Se. Then Tinasiga, then Malavi Shiva. Then Chila Tsama Res on the Tsama Geta Ngo Jakayawati Tsaman Amdraganala. Tombo go to the Koran. Tsama Lame Jahiba Sene. Or Loa maybe Hiba Chila Tsama Sene Sonre.
Valid cognition is an awareness that is unmistaken to aware the respective object. So that is the definition of valid cognitions in Pramana Vartika.
Tatane Tsaman Amdraganala Tio de la Mahi Tongi Sarshikang, says Sonri. Take on Songor said the Tinghula Hako Meva Chick. Tene Tsaman Amdraganala Tio de la Mahi Tongi Sarshikang, says Sonri. Take on Songor said the Tinghula Hako Meva Chick. Tene Tsaman Amdraganala Tio de la Mahi Tongi Sarshikang, says Sonri. 전에 서드 하고와 대양 멀어가시기인바 덴리식라 참마세그래 손에 양께 사시제 나요.
Again, additionally described about the definition of characteristic of valid cognition in Paramanavartika, that is the new awareness, an awareness that correctly aware the respective object. So this is a kind of additionally or emphasizing upon the characteristic of valid cognition.
전에 당아수 땡겨 그러나 똑같이 도와세지요래 똑같이 도와세대 나로라 참미 찬연적당 섬라고 직송어래 직대 단다 마히동지 사세세대래.
According to the treatise or commentaries of Indian Siddhas, Indian masters, so one of the commentaries called Togitowa is kind of logician X, kind of the translation would be that way. That means cut the opposite thoughts or opinions. So this particular commentary or text mentioned the characteristic of valid cognition is same like the first aspect of definition given by Paramanavartika, which is an awareness correctly aware its respective object.
전에 양 참미 기박하기가 죽을 토시기 르파 참미 찬이다 약한도 세네 단다 달카만자라 세디나라 대야요.
Some Buddhist logician philosophers also pointing that the characteristic of valid cognition is somehow through which awareness could able to reach to the object, you know, whether it is correctly aware the object or not, but somehow through that awareness one is reaching to the object. That means it is valid cognitions. So this explanation come from different Buddhist logician.
드니 돈째 따와지는 통화라 참아 스니 돈째 따와지는 똑바디 참이 찬이다 작은도 스니야 제송요.
And also some logicians also giving such a similar definition, that is whatever awareness that is accurately reach to the object, which is definition of valid cognition.
어때 당아서 단다 똑게 토와세데 땡겨 그나로라 가르송르세데 자 아는디 송레 송니 Sanshang Senan Zashang La Ja Anandi Songre Seni Koyore.
Unawareness which through one can reach to the object. This kind of definition given by Togitoa in Togitoa, so this explanation also given by Jaya Ananda.
Ngarang tsu tanda jawa maki dorji songna di bog kiwa chenpo kondor dimbar se chigore di songre songni di song jangdu kondor dimbar di ja anande lomare.
Such definition given by Jaya Ananda, so there's also some definitions regarding to the eight Karmapas. So at Karmapa says such statement is given by not really Jaya Ananda but disciple of Jaya Ananda.
Tanda di shaya di kaani sedige yagar kin kibi nalo la tsamin tsanya jakta mandawa chiga je rawa chik shongda yoba.
So the conclusion is that even in Indian logicians, they just they pointing a little bit different characteristic upon valid cognitions. The characteristic of valid cognitions. There are 4 types.
Te malawi rikpa, mahi donsar ki rikpa, jugdun toshi ki rikpa, donche tawajanda topi rikpa seni.
The 4 types of characteristic. First one is unmistaken awareness, and second is the awareness which is first moment that not happened before, and third is an awareness through which one can reach to the object, and also the unawareness which is exactly correct towards the object. So there's 4 little difference characteristic among the philosophers, logician.
Tene pokin kiba desu nalo la tangwo teni malawi rikpa tsamin tsanyere songkan chekdang sard malawi rikpa seni. Tanda mahi tonji sarshe seti kowal ane sard malawi rikpa tsamin tsanyere songni. Songkan ga chok nyi yore.
If we talk about the Tibetan logician, that the first 2 types of characteristic given by Indian logician, Indian master, so that would be carried by the Tibetan logician. So first one is an awareness, not mistaken or not deceptive mind towards object. This is the first. And second is sardu milivirikpa. Sar means new. That is first, first unawareness, which is correctly knowing the object. So little difference. These 2 characteristic is carried by Tibetan logician.
Tati no ni malawa shibi kowa deela shadun toshi girikpa songa yore. Kaan se diga shapa garin do takhe cheyona dega rang rendu samba chigmarto tate norjang duk samba meva. Tende chegla malawa songa yore.
So the first characteristic is unawareness, that unawareness which is non-deceptive or non-mistaken to knowing the object is somehow that is meaning by it's really certainty of the object to gaining, to achieve. So that would be the meaning.
Tela ta yurki ngone don la malawa yimba chigdang yurchenji ngone sosu ta chobi gone malawa yimba ni yore ina te goya te yurchenji ngone ta choba te go yore.
Non-deceptive means there's a two kind of non-deceptive or non-mistaken is somehow related to the object and subject. So here, when we talk about the non-deceptive mind or knowing the object, is somehow we talk about the subject aspect.
The yurki ngone don la lo mena ya sosu ngone thak ma chba de perna ta nga so la sosu kiwisinya yenare tane chodo yenare yang pesa jita ne yenare tade do chene de shi thamche ma ta ba yere se do go ta don la degara chak yore yena ya ma jamba chi de na ta pa chi yore da sen jini tade do
where there's a very brief point upon this direct valid cognition.
강치니 세나 대단다 인식 당의 결정도 되네 인지 생각돼서 결정들이 약관도 고대원도 송도
Because about the topic direct valid cognition, which is in gateway to knowledge is translated into English. So for the reader, English reader, it's very accessible.
네. 다 때라 원선 참마세데 뭐 간디시 문장거에서데 Dr. Mantravi Rikpas.
So now, direct valid cognition. So here, what is the characteristic of direct valid cognition? So here says that non-conceptual unmistaken mind, non-conceptual unmistaken mind, or non-conceptual non-deceptive mind, which is characteristic of direct valid cognition.
The Konda was Amatana Parmana Samachaya Nalola mean the Rixo Jorva Topa Tantra Monsomo Sini. Mean the Duendes of Pa Journey, Duanche Harry Guane, Samnotan Mayemba. Then here the Gencherla Nantontabachik or the Monsum Topa the Char say the Tenrich Gores on what is on your
Parmana Vartika explained that
Parman
Samachaya, Kundire.
Continue.
So Parmana Samachaya, which composed by Dignaga. So here explained that valid direct perception must be non-associated with names, non-associated with the imaginations, but nakedly experience the object, which is direct valid cognition.
Oh, there. That tell you na tanda kond je yore se shiva naja je te ambu ngasam yiki ngasam rar ngasam namja ngasam.
So we talked that there's a 4 classification of direct valid cognition. The first one is sensory direct perception, and then number 2 is mental direct perceptions, and then self-cognized direct perception, and fourth one is the yogic direct perception.
Oh, there. That te no ne ambu ngasam sama se te tang khenju rang na la da kyan ambu zuchen ba la te ni kipis Dr. Mantravi hibana ambu ngasam sama te se diga da kyan de ambu ngasam chada yona te la ambu ngasam se gre ande da kyan de ambu zuchen ba chada yona te la ambu ngasam se gre se wa tende song.
So each of 4 valid direct perception has its own ruling factor or predominant condition. When we talk about the predominant condition, which is physical form, so that would be the first direct perception, which is sensory direct valid perception, such like eye consciousness or eye direct perception.
Tani tega na je jangwa me baram bachi khenju ko na la ewa xiong de mantra bi mhi la so ba nga o si.
Also, Gateway to Knowledge also explain that an awareness which is arising from the physical faculty, such like eye, ear, nose, tongue, and body faculty. So those are the classification of direct perception, which is first one.
Mixie de la Turmantri Yongore, Gandar Monsum said the Mantrawachi Gore.
The I mind or I faculty consciousness has a twofold, non-mistaken one and mistaken one. So here, the direct value perception is we talk about the non-mistaken I consciousness, I mind.
When Tursonwati Tandanderanga Ambo Trigi Labi, Dachik Danis Nawa, Sona, Monsum Tartanwati, Tsema Mayeno.
So, when we talk about the opposite, mistaken I consciousness is somehow the unawareness which is mistaken by the distorted ruling factor I, such like seeing the moon, one moon as a two.
When Dachik Danis Nawa said then Ambo like you be going then Chorachas.
When we seeing the moon as a two is somehow mistaken on the ruling factor, the I form, I faculty has some distorted, some defective defects.
Make Nasa to talk at any John Rambo.
Sometimes ruling defects such like when we seeing someone from far distance, then it appears two, even it is one, it appears two. We seeing that way. So because some sicknesses affect our eye faculty, through that we seeing single person as a two. So this kind of mistaken perception is somehow due to the defects of ruling factor faculty.
Then Garmin Kolo Najason, Garmin Kolo Seona, and the Garatesu, the Shang Mela Satin la Cha, the Tawazun and Garjahero, the Shang Tesola Chatan Garmin Garshan Lakuri. The May said the Tizela May Gune, Marwoto Chowday and the Rich Gorjana, then Gorgurching Toya. Gorguchi Yomaro, or Tendra, or Tea, Trigeti, Yola Yores.
And another defects is defects of object, defects of things, such like when we seeing someone is, rounding or circling the some fire, fire. When we some how to say the kind of wood, and then it circle. Then we see there's some very circle one, but in reality there's no circle. It is single one. When it moving, rounding, then we see there's some, wheel kind of shape. So that kind of the perception is because of defects on the object circle.
Tani Tandi Sokong Nala So Sound. Chikti Pena Tree Nani Deni, Tani Chuma Babshala, Japan Rosana, Parsuk Shing to Yar Jugdo Sonda, which Toyong. John Hyandro Nangawan Hila Kore. John Hyandro Yomarena, Road the Yavanda Tonga. Then this Yonkore, dear Trojan Nila Yovas.
Another example, defects of location, right? Defects of place or locations is when we going into transportations, such like a bus, so on, metro, and then we see that when we going through that, we see outside all the jungle and tree are moving. We see that way. So in reality, there's no movement in tree, in jungle, but we see that because there's a defects in place where we using the transportation or location.
The Tendi Chine condition in Turkey over this or Hakoyona, the Naras Mahiti so Mantrawachi, Nikali cover the which younger.
So if we examine that how defects is possible when we seeing the things, and that means we need to examine the eye consciousness is whether has a defects or not, whether it is a mistaken mind or non-mistaken mind.
Mason the rich in a pena, Kawado Tana, Loksaro Yobikala, Chick Tongre, Loksaro maybe Kala, Chick Tongre. Then they got no pena Nimi or Pogona, Sundo Kagaching Tongre. Davi or Pogona young Sundo Kagachi, Kagaching Tongre. Then Muni Pate on the Khan Dembares and Mahibado.
We also we may have a confusion even we seeing or when we looking to the such as pillar. Sometimes we see the pillar as a bright, sometimes little bit darkness, sometimes very light because of the conditions, different conditions. So finally, it may create confusions which consciousness seeing the pillar is a valid cognition.
Sanrigbades Kato Toyon, there's a moment Nimi will attend the Chore say at the Yogo.
Sometimes scientists say that we seeing the different color is because of light of sun. So that means not in reality.
Oh yeah, that parche ambu ngosum sediga tanda miki ngosum shabanaja tani navala tene chonvi navi ngosum nala tene chonvi tani ye ngosum tega naji che ngosum de ngosum sene ote ewa de ngare.
Similar to nose consciousness and till to the body consciousness is similar to the what we discussed on the eye consciousness, eye mind, how it perceive the object things. There's a 5 types of sensory mind or perception.
That tiga ngosum la je obinani ambu ngosum roachi. That niba yeki ngosum sedere.
The second is mental direct perception, because we discussed already about the sensory direct perception. So now second is mental direct perception.
Yeki ngosum sede tani 아무것도 개발 강체 거래세디 닥겐데 얘기가 뭐 연당 아무 숙제 바연 따니 닥겐데 얘기가 뭐 쳐다요나 되네 얘기가 뭐
And mental direct perception and sensory direct perception is differentiated by ruling factor, ruling condition, predominant conditions. If predominant condition is physical form, so that would be sensory direct perception. If predominant is non-physical form or it is mind, then it would be mental direct perception. So it differentiated by, distinct by ruling factor.
원섬의 연바 관식라 닥겐 얘기가 뭐 쳐다요나 얘기가 뭐
The unawareness, which is non-conceptual mind, but depends on the ruling factor, which is not, which don't have the physical form, is mental direct perception.
장고 럼보치 장고 메포 럼보치 단다 켄주고 나라 닥겐 예왕라 띠니 끼비 doctor 똑바다 저와지 만트위 희와는 얘기고서 참만예도
Gateway to knowledge explain that unawareness, which is non-mistaken and non-conceptual, and depends on the ruling factor of non-physical form, is mental direct perception.
다더니 다진 예왕라 템바치 이르테 서버 혀와 찍라 참마 마임바 양 요레서
Also there's one another point is depends of ruling factor with the non-physical form, non-physical, but not mental direct perception also exists.
Perna ambon trevi jis shobi yetogme tang sondo te kani songor se de perna tanda dawa ni na dobi wa hi tawati tene yer latta jembi kala ta yek tang la ya dega na jem pha ta dabi kala thong do ko yore ten thong de te tawi yegi hebate yang mantra bacha mars te thorware do res.
For example, when we seeing Dawani Hira, when we seeing the moon as a two, so which is a mistaken direct perception of eye, right? So instead of that, and also mental, there's a direct perception which also seeing similar way. So that is not a valid cognition, not a mental direct valid perception. It is mental direct perception, but not a valid one, not a valid one, because eye consciousness itself is not a mistaken one, because it sees that two moon.
Tene malamki nawata ho tsama maye no oso. Karson sediga malamka kala wa hi yo mare. Nam to yo mare. The malamka hiwase de doctor ge yishi cha da yo. Tende yende de ngonsum tsama yena manatana de mare so. Khande sediga de malamka nalola ta ndawo ta mendawo kare sharona donla mebachi harkayo de den thorwa chadore wo de dawo yana yiking wasam tsama mare so.
Another simple example is when we sleeping, we dreaming there's a lot of experience, appearance we experience, such like you seeing the horse, cow, so on. So moment that it is not a conceptual mind, so it is non-conceptual mind, because it is not an imagination, but experientially that seeing. But it is not a sensory mind, so it is mental direct perception, but it is not a valid one.
Tende ching the ta ngasu yiki ngonsam se te mantra ba chig dang. Tene tokpa me ba chig go yo ba sarvo chag de yo chi.
So mental direct perception is somehow non-conceptual and non-mistaken, which is mental direct valid perception.
Oh, there. Ta chitani yiki ngonsam se te tese ngusan kali kapu che tsag yo re.
Actually, according to the Buddhist epistemology text, it is a little bit difficult to recognize which is mental direct perception.
Jagar ke pancha da desu na lo la ane dotsa meta was sam chong re.
Among the Indian logician masters, there's three types of their definitions among the mental direct perception, how it arises and function.
Kare re sedi ga ta tangwa te lopan gen kambu jisan rangwa. Desu kare songkore sedi ga permer ke se ni. Ambu ngonsam pena mikhi ge pa zugla tawi kala tangwa ambu ngonsam chiki. Tin chamne ambu ngonsam te nga ne yang yiki ngonsam chiki. Tene yang yang ke ambu ngonsam chiki. Tene yiki ngonsam ki tene chene ta shenbi kala rimu chene ndrogo yores. Tama te yiki ngonsam pa cham jabi kala yiki ngonsam chingwan de kyo kare se ne. Khonsu tene song yore.
And one of the Indian logician master, Khenpo, his name was Khenpo. He explained that when we seeing the physical form, and first moment is sensory direct perception, and then it sees. Then second moment appear the mental direct perception, and then third again the faculty, sensory faculty, the direct perception, and finally it's conclude by mental direct perception. So it turn by turn arises. So this is the description from Khenpo.
Tela ngasu chuji saja panchati rikte rang rek na lo la kenan su tende shini shakandos tene yang yiki ngonsam na le law ha ko mare ongu ngonsam na lamsang ha ko re se do tanda kenan la ba na se yana jikpa re jang do kyabar sim do wa se ka pa kya.
So Sakya Pandita dispute to this explanation, because generally says that the mental direct perception is a little bit difficult to recognize or introduce. But if you define that way, so it would be similar difficult both of sensory direct perception and mental direct perception. So this description or this explanation is not the correct one.
Tene ndotsu nipa de lopan chunchok logre. Te kare songre se de ga janthar kiba asene. Ta mukhi ga ta jimbi kala mukhi marto tene yishi ga tene pa tandu as yo mares. Mukhi ran res. Yana te mukhi cham jaba da nyamde. Te kaji ma chigla niki ngonsum chi kege resene. O lopan chunchok tene songre.
Second explanation is from Lobun Acharya Chojok, that faculty, sensory direct perception and mental direct perception is not happening or generating turn by turn, but mental direct perception is only arise or generate end of the sensory direct perceptions. So little bit different explanation from Gen Khenpo.
Dela yang chuje sabanga kare songkor sediga tambo mukhi kaje tamo nipa desu kewe kawla yijingon san mayong la tama leong jomsan kare sedida jomsan mando tene karte omu ngonsum ge yijingon sam jing ren thapke yona te kaje tamo mukha omu ngonsum kidiga kaje nipa dela yijingon sam kanche ma shong resene gakpa jawar.
But Sakya Pandita also dispute the Acharya Chojok, the explanation, because why is this happen in end of the sensory direct perception? Because if end of the sensory direct perception there's a happening mental direct perception, then why couldn't able to arise mental direct perception before that?
Tere, tane tas samba de ngonsum ru samba la kare. Ngonsum ru samba se de jaga kwanta da lopan lawan lu gongba re song yore.
Lawang lotang siapa?
Re lawan lo.
Lawang lo chugura.
Lawan lo shura.
Ani siapa?
Kong gongba re song yore.
So third explanation how mental direct perception is arising is that three procedures. Through three procedures, it will be arise. So this explained by Acharya Lawanglo of Indian logician.
Di gandhi songkor se diga tangasu pa pena zukchi landri tawi kaula kajik tamu tela mkhi ki onde kajik niba ne mkhi dan nyamde yiki hibe yang pa tathap yores.
So how this procedure function is, the first moment generate the eye consciousness or sensory direct perceptions, and this first moment of sensory direct perception and carry or bring the mental direct perceptions. So that means second moment there's two. One is a continuation of sensory direct perception itself, and another was mental direct perception itself, and then another one is self-cognized perception. So threefold happen or generate. So this is the procedure, how according to the Lawang law.
Ta tende chingwang de ngi tandan de ta jembi kaula meki hiwa ngosam chik yiki ngosam chik nyam de leong do.
So when we seeing the object in front of us, there's a two direct perception. One is sensory direct perception. Second is mental direct perception at the same times.
Ta te niga yang rangrik nyam se nyon ne tende chingwang de ngosam sam nyam de yores.
And these two also has a self-cognized nature, self-cognized, self-awareness nature. So there's a three direct perception in the end.
Ambu ngosam, yeki ngosam, rangrik ngosam sam.
First one is sensory direct perception, second is mental direct perception, third is self-cognized nature perception.
네. 다 나랑서 나라고 소수기고 열라 남정 와서 요 말이. 되니 와서 잠바 섬데 뒤쪽라 냠데 용 그래서.
So that way, for ordinary beings such as, such myself, I don't have the yogic direct perception, but we do have three direct perception. Rest of the three direct perception, which is sensory, mental, and self-cognized direct perception.
단데라 나랑서 랑가 준나 요비 시바지 엔디 나랑서 랑가 냠냠 그 땅에 하고고에 차다 요래.
So these three direct perception is not outside, in within us, so one need to recognize it.
다 가리 차버스디 나순디 가완데라 따다 요비 깔라 메강오 ngosam 시바디 요나 나랑서 냠냠 그 땅에 람사 희게 요래. 이노 대다 냠데 드리지 따심비 깝데라 다 파데지 서버 혈게 요메다 그 셔도 파 삼로 땅에 즉 소리 혈왔자 마이바 파 삼로 땅에 즉 드리레만도 삼바게 되니 돈체 charmargo 아직 그 땅에 무 삼바지 용거래 다 이야데 디무 상칸 데 루스빌로라 얘기 무슨 차가요.
So, for example, when we seeing this in front pillar, so we obviously it is not difficult recognize that that perception is sensorial, perceptions. So we experience that way. But at the same times, when we seeing the pillar, we also have a experience or observation. Some specific it's the object's attribution, such the specific color, specific shape, specific many its characteristic things. So that moment, what we observing that appearance, it is not really imagination; it's a direct perception. So that would be the mental direct perception.
다디 가라 온히 예시기 캬버 예시데 또바다 또메 임바 하고야라 가수 다 공데 데신도르디스가 라워다 또바세디 무센데 기침보래.
So in order to recognize mental direct perception is very important to know about the conceptual mind or non-conceptual mind. So if you know distinction of these two things, then it will be able to know about the mental direct perception.
가수 참만남들 나나 가리송 세디가 She can la Dradons, then tella, Tokuran dot sorry. Harrison Corsi, Hiva kind by Kanshik las. Dradon Seondi, don't you use here the Yuva, Tela, Topa Segreda, sorry.
So, what is the conceptual mind? Now, the question is here. According to Parmana Vatika, then unawareness which carry the imagination of name and meaning. So, which is conceptual mind?
That Tendechi, don't you send a country cigarette, Seondi, Penangaso Tandan Dena, dead the Yovikaula, so no, the Rachel Semji Harogdo, Sala Masalachi. Pasho Chetavas in the Meva. Then Semka Nolola, Sosu non Tendici, Yos, Ambana Shardu Giova. What tea cock Sosu Longa la Shardu, don't you love
In order to clear about the awareness which carrying the imagination is, for example, while we are sitting here, we can imaginate our own home or house, whatever, So that mind is somehow carrying the imagination of house, imagination of home, or whatever things you have. So, moment of that, your mind is conceptual mind.
Ding Hon la, Naso Danto Sum la Zanda Sore. The Pemkan Tisota, this Yapo Johnsare.
Before 3 weeks, we had class here. The students who attend class, they already know about the conceptual mind.
Oh, Tere. Tende Chene, Namto say the Musan Sarna. Tending us on the day she does him be Kala. Pasho Kawadi, don't you Harkamado? Korangus Sarwich in Harkado. Korangus Sarwich in Harachigla. So now what some down? Then the Re Mandu Samba Hakoya Shiva Ni. Nyam the Leko Yoting us Pache Nyam Yang Tangani Hako Tokudu.
Once we know and we clear about the imaginations, then when we seeing the pillar in front of us, there's a two aspect of direct perceptions. One is just appear the things towards perception. Another is observation, some kinds of observation. But experientially, or we experience that moment, we don't have any more imaginations. So it validate that we do have a mental direct perception.
Yinaya, Ta Shimbi Kavla, Sosu Junayovi Shiva, Dure Chene Leko Yova Te, De Onshirend, De Yishirenduk Sene, Kakashi Gona Pekalido.
While we looking to the pillar, it's a little bit difficult to recognize. This particular is sensory direct perception. This particular mind is mental direct perception. So it's a little bit difficult to explain.
Oh, Tendiciri, Ta Tandati Kond, Jitani, Rikte Randre Ganalola, Lopan Jan Kambu, Pemer, Gava Jekare, say on the go. The Lopan Jan Kambu, Jonte Naso Tanda Pokel and Jorda Yore. You know, the Kipa Monchikitin on a Manduk Sonkore.
There's a three types of explanations for mental direct perceptions from Indian logicians. So third one is also explained by Khenpo. And then nowadays the commentary of Khenpo translated in Tibetan, so they don't really found such an explanation.
The tela Khenpo de Kunchen Korambi Zayore.
So the clarification of this dispute also done by Koho Ramjampa, which is a Sakya scholar.
Kung Karisomar said, Kajik Rikte Rounderly, the Ganji Jeper Kopa Mante, the Ganjin River Masha Bishasana, Yon the Manjuk days. Karere se on the Lama Jubi Mangali, Ganji Jeper Soma the Kopa Inges, Konanga Lama Tesu, de Yank Jepa Re Sene. Teganoja Yank Jinranga, then Yank Ganji Jinran Yemba. Then Sake Pantati Lama Yemba, or Tendiga Shagyung on the Son Japa Kore, Telankarwa Kanyo Mare, the Tata Yores on what it is on her.
Koho Ramjampa, Sakya scholar, clarified about this dispute. Even it is not in written form in translated work, but it comes with the verbal, verbally through the master to master. So it is not mistaken into Sakya Pandita's explanation.
Oh, yeah. That here, Abu Mosam Dang, Yigi Mosam Yi, Roache.
So here we complete description about the sensory direct perception and mental direct perception.
Tani Karmacho Yarmachindu, Kazan Kenyan Travati Tonton Chare, the Travatin and Exer.
So we can raise the question now because yesterday we didn't have time to raise the question.
Ni here Chiana Lavare, the Mihia Chiana, Higamanduk Lamna, Naranso, Lama Chicaloma, Tamsik Chipare, Mate, Kaya Cabrio Mar, Tingi Lav, Higamanduk Lavare.
I will answer if the question that I can answer. I also say that I cannot answer if question is not really answer from me, because we are same Dharma family, same in Dharma family.
Hi, and thank you for your teachings. I have a question regarding the mental perception and what happens when we die, when death occurs. The mental perception, as I understand it, is when we imagine things, or we remember things, or when we think of things, or when we dream. And then when we die, is the nature of our mental perceptions, is it changing, or does it continue like if we are dreaming?
Kongi ingwechora igyungasum anedi shiwekapsu ko kyunro majene ane yunguyurege milam nangsi la tajbeshara milamgi ingwe ki kejeshira milam kapsu igyungasum yo kejeshira tangi igyungasum yora tati indu shiwekapsu yora merasa.
Te Trava Yaputi song, Congress said the Jetoni, the shit hamse Kaji Gangaro, your Yinayan, Kaji Tamola, Kandi, over Kaji Nikbala, then Drava Ran, Kiona, then Asutela, Tanya Pata, the Genche Lapure. The Kaji 직랑기 뒷견 까지 니발라 만라와 차소나 되네 때까지 직랑래 세네송 거요래 근데 지원데가 단다 빼mer께와다 견털께와니 이게 로글라 이게 무슨 때 까지 맞직게디 디지 때라 빼mer께위 로글라 디지라 아무 무슨 내용 그래 세그래요 까지 직 말도 연구 말했어 되네요 아무 무슨 지니요 까지 직 랩 그래 디지는 아무 무슨 랩 그래 얘는 담아 때라 이게 무슨 까지 직게네 남통 랩 그래 랍 그래 다 견털께와 세디 로글라 전에 까지 담아 될라 얘기 무슨 깨래 얘나 뒤까지 니한테 돈치 켜도 그랬어. 근데 지금 남도 차도 그래 말도 뒤 견데 까지 니한테 무슨 차가 말해서 그래. 얘나야 무슨 루스미 로라. 근데 얘기 무슨 문턴이 견턴이 얘기 무슨 될거요. 어디 까지 당원다 까지 니바니 영원히 받지 봐. 까지 선바 시발라 영원히 받지 봐 그래. 어디 콘소 도서 섬 될라 말아요. 그래서 망탁선
là siêu cấp số yara mersi tera
아,
siêu cấp số 이 용어 좀 지당 중에 yara mersi
아,
시찬네
셔츠네.
민디 시찬나
저거 때려.
그래
셔츠네 선아서 끼워지 말라.
다 파르도 값을 더 차대요 말해
근데 되네 있나?
그래
대대 요청하라고 건세대 어머 건선 토메 단세 콜라지나 와히 차선 여러. 저거 되니 카가랬습니다.
nghe terang siêu ba ko ke siêu tarang siêu ki chela om 이 용어 좀 yara
아네, 저 시위스 나왔어. 요청을 되나?
yeah
바도 와라 세네네 요레스.
so when we die we enter to pardo existence. So since we have a mind and consciousness, it obviously can help the mental perception, mental direct perception.
단다디까지 막 가서 차가요가 되지 랍잖아. 펜서를 삼소세.
그래서
니 동어 저와디 권을 탭서 옛나요. 아니 대 지단 난가도 요사레스. 지킬라브럭지.
also actually there's a three types of how mental direct perception exists. The first explanation is somehow turn by turn mental direct perception and sensory direct perception, and the second is end of the sensory direct perception, and then it's happening mental direct perceptions. This is the second explanation. Third explanation is somehow threefold direct perception. First one is sensory direct perception, and then mental direct perception, and then self-cognized perception, direct perceptions. So whatever these three explanation exist, but the point is mental direct perception is follow the sensory direct perception. Also, it can happening without sensory direct perception, such like dreaming, sleeping, and then obviously when we cease this life, or when we change our life, our mind it continues such in a way of dream, but mental direct perceptions obviously can exist, because it is not necessarily follow the sensory direct perception.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
Another question.
Yes, I have a question. Thank you very much. Here. I have a question about, maybe I don't get the translation itself. What does it mean, self-cognized direct perception? Yeah. The third one. Yeah.
Rangrik ngosum zena deji chama songs. Rangrik ngosum ge deji chama songs. Oh, okay. So Khenpo La will explain about the self-direct perception and another the yogic direct perception in next session.
So there's another question from German speaker who would like to ask, could you please kindly explain whether object of mental direct perception is the mental image, dikpa mikpa?
Please again.
Could you please explain whether object of mental direct perception is the mental image?
이 중에서 이율지어라. 이 중에서 이율디 된시 단테와 예메케저로 시래도.
되니?
레 되지 레 말해서 딘로 시저로시도.
야 돈치 차가 만들이 따진비까라. 마연 바라 즉 살라마서바지 셈나라 혀와테 용거요 말해. 너비치 따진비까라 돈치요 말해.
So when we seeing someone directly, then there's no any imagination of object. But we do have the mental direct perception, which is totally free from the imaginations, which we can experience while we seeing the things, object in front of us.
돈치 세디 추대 코랑 마연 바지. 된 라오 저 혀wan도 어때래. 단디데 코랑 임바랑 혀대요.
While we seeing the things in front of us, it directly the things appear towards our mind. When we talk about the imaginations, so imagination is not a real the object. It is just imagination. It is just a cover of things.
Rickson?
Are you clear?
Yes, thank you. And there's one more.
Okay. Diksung-sa.
Dear Rinpoche, thank you for teaching. Dear Rinpoche, thank you for teaching. Does yogic perception mean direct perception of reality as it is? And if yes,
Direct perception, right? Yogic.
Does yogic perception for type? For type of perception. Rinpoche said about yogic perception, but don't said anything about yogic perception.
Yeah,
because
Khenpo La says that.
Does yogic perception mean direct perception of reality as it is?
Yeah. Najung asum kol shemazungs, ra. So whatever talk about the yogic perception will come next session. So he explained more detail about the direct yogic direct perception and self-cognized direct perception. So today we only talk about the first two direct perception, which is sensory direct perception and mental direct perception. Only we discuss about this topic, and next we will detailing about the next two perception.
Hello, Khenpo La. I'm just wondering, for instance, when I feel pain in my knee, like very rapidly, in this second is direct perception. What kind of sensory then? Or if I catch the ball which is coming to me, or if I move my fingers because I don't know, I thought to catch the cup which category of perception, just to make it more clear.
Yeah, obviously.
Thank you.
Kangbadipi nagidusa ra kangbadi narido. Tati kapsu ngosum gi shebare ta khande to resa. Ani tham koranzo chik chala to nyabe ta ta dir che chora chawa lu gi chawa che chora ti kapsu ngosum gi tsema reki ti kapsu chawa ta khandare ngosum tsema re mares ti shigido.
Re te ngasu kamba inare support su nasa le te sorvare te luigi samre.
When you painting in your knee, it is direct perception, which is first direct perception, sensory direct perception. Because there's 5 types within the sensory direct perception, right? Eye and nose till to body. So it may be body, final one, body direct perception, associated with the feeling. So feeling is the one aspect of the direct perception. Yeah.
Te don de ni ale yeah.
Yeah. Dear Khenpo, I would like to clarify. It was said about the dream that is non-conceptual mind. No, it is non-conceptual mind, not sensory mind in the dream.
Yeah.
But what about a person who comes to the world? I mean, is born completely blind. So when I think they don't have visual perception, but in the dream, when I think about my dreams, that is mainly visual. Yeah, it's visual. And so, can you say, or do you know, a blind person, can it also dream with? Can't dream with pictures, I suppose. But what is left then?
Yeah, very nice question. Me tadangazu nyati kaso ngosum la chik nawa mango shungera di yiji ngosum relations ta yiji kanda ingu ki tangroj sungsongs ane mik matong ki miki ane kara ni nyewi kaso dinegi nawa shere yore meres mik tawa ni megen jora mik tawa ni megen ane suki nawa shere yore meres mik megen longa ane ni nyewi kaso ngazol nawa na suki nawa shere kire meres
Ale te sanrik baga tambo ni mik menkanchi yana malam tami kala zuk miya yo marese o te sanrik bi lakudwa te ngazu pechi nana mixer ki te yore mere cha song yo ban jama song.
According to the scientists, modern scientists, there's no visual experience or direct perception in dream if person is totally blind when he or she born, right? There's no clear the totally blind person has a visual experience in dream or not in the text. Text is not very clear about this topic.
Вот здесь. Я здесь. Мне переводчик нужен. Здесь. Мой вопрос такой, в рамках тех восприятий, которые мы сегодня узнали, как мы воспринимаем собственное «я», к какому виду восприятия относится наше собственное «я», о котором мы разговаривали на прошлой занятии, когда говорили, что нам нужно понять, осознать, что «я» — это не настоящее, то есть оно как бы иллюзорное. И вот к какому восприятию относится это «я», когда мы его воспринимаем?
Today we have learned different types of perception, and my question is, how do we perceive our own I in this regard? To which type of perception can we put it? So last time we were discussing that we need to eliminate this self-grasping, and in this case, how is it working?
ngazo jing tsema ngosum tsema kordang dejo chidane ta jushi khatsang sena tis khagatos chagdus ani mikorang ra ngazol migiora mikorang kanijine ngosum no suitonggeres ra mix niwala ane tande ki jushi ditang ane dangong tangzi tapang kotang korshera odinjol le tewa kare yures odati
ambote meka ngosum chakmar meka ngosum sedi shibarete yore ambote zuk chada yore te khagares twa tang de teche
왕보 그랑 수통기래시
ambote zukro
아래 왕보 통기 요래 메레시 세 왕보 그랑 수통기래시 무슨 간데기 통기래시 요래시 왕보 줘라
추응원바 나와신 조 내가 ambote 당상 서버 만통와 지그레세네 송요레 땡아랑서 몇개 만통와레세네 송요레 얘나야 단다 네타 원데가 당상 빠르잡네 레원데가 드네 빠르치나 탭크요레 드리치 원데가 데 통고 말에서데 나랑서 몇개 통고 말에스 얘나야 드네 코 수지 겐체레세나 수지 겐체레스 가레세네 코 체헤르 나로네 드네 체르다 빠르자원데 빠르자 탑크요 와제 카히가 티 빠르자용한테 뭐가 말에 라고도 얘나 나도 얘나 대가라 예사 레트랑게요 덴디 치원데가 제단 뭐가 오마데 수견체 임바 얘나 나랑 수 먹게 통하면서 봐 네 덴디 치는 거지 제요
regarding to the topic of I, right? So Abhidharma text explain that I know, nose, ear, so on. These 5 faculty is somehow not visible things. Even it is form, physical form, but it is non-visible things we cannot perceive from by direct eye consciousness. But in modern days, from scientists' experiment, there's an image of the eye faculty. Through that, one can know about the eye. So by the means of method of technology, it maximize the tiny eye faculty which in a bigger size. Through that help of technology, we can see and we can understand the eye faculty. So definition of eye faculty and nose is somehow clear and 살진 당와라 왕부기친이 당와 왕부기친이 왕부기친이 사실 당와 송자 숙진 당와 the form which is clear. So this is definition for the the faculty from Abhidharma texts. So, Khenpo says.
Tene travani vati lante desu rigde da maybe tonda ni tene shana tene she yore tedan ni nyamsal ana nyamsal le yore kare sidiga susola makan amshi kandi kye yoba deso chazang ha koyona te neluk topala phenk yore te tat sosu
Also, examinations on the eye faculty, so on, how it generate and how it functions. All this, the analytical procedure also associated with the experiment of self-existing. So yesterday we talked about the selflessness awareness, and today we talk about the direct perceptions and direct perception which based on the ruling factor eye and nose, so on. All these topic, two types of topic can be intertwined by our own examination. So today we stop here because we don't have time.
Sunandaye tamche zubanye tone niwe dana panshe kega nanche balon chupaye sabien solen duwa duwa shu.